Last time I was here in this location was about 7 months ago. When I was here, the gates were closed. It was a closed-off area. You had to look from afar. Today, they've opened this up into a museum, and I have to show it to you. Today's vlog is a bit of a heavy subject. I'm at the Car Cemetery in Tecuma, Israel. This site was originally a holding ground for all of the cars that were burned on October 7th from the Nova Festival, from the roads. There are 1,800 cars in this location, and eventually it was opened up to become a museum so that people can walk through. There's stories about the cars here, there's stories about the people who own the cars, and there's stories about what happened here. That's the gist of this open-air museum here at Tecuma. This is Yossi Hoffman. He's a Zaka volunteer. Hoffman is familiar with the cars because he was among the first responders to see the carnage left by terrorists on October 7th while they were still roaming the area and hiding in Israel.
I know every car here.
He also helped to clean up bodies from the Nova Festival site and later the Gaza envelope kibbutzim, but the cars in particular were a special mission for Zaka volunteers because of the meticulous detailing to make sure every drop of blood got buried.
By Jewish halacha, you have to take every piece from the body to Kever Israel. So after we finish to collect all the bodies, we clean all the cars, we clean all the houses, we clean everything.
Hoffman spent 62 days straight working in the Gaza envelope, cleaning up after the October 7th massacre.
The stories and the pictures and the video that I have in my hand, I can't forget this.
It was so traumatic that even the therapist that he was connected to through the Zaka organization couldn't handle what Hoffman saw.
I have a psychology, and after a few weeks, he's telling me, I can't talk with you anymore because I'm not sleep because all your stories.
Hoffman has since found another therapist, but he also does something else that helps him cope. He gives tours in the area and speaks to groups, including here in Tecuma.
I believe because I see everything, so I have to talk about this with every people. I'm talk with this every day with people in Hebrew, in English, and in Yiddish.
He knows the backstory of every car here. This ambulance was from the Nova Festival site. Hoffman says people ran to hide in it thinking terrorists would leave the ambulance alone. They torched it with an RPG. He says body parts from 18 people were identified here through DNA.
We work to find any piece from their body to know with which people here and how many people you have here in this ambulance.
You know, to me, the burnt metal of these cars is very reminiscent of the burnt and twisted metal from the 9/11 site, and it's the same fundamental ideology and the same terrorism behind it. Here at the burnt vehicles compound on Moshav Tecuma, some cars are identified by their owners. The car of Ori Danino is here. Danino was kidnapped from the Supernova Festival and later murdered in Gaza alongside 5 other hostages. This minibus tells the story of senior citizens who were murdered before heading out on a trip to the Dead Sea. And so it goes, the personal stories of car after car after car are held here at the site. This white golf cart and this piece of red farming equipment was taken from one of the nearby kibbutzim. We're told by some of the moderators here that it was recovered from Shifa Hospital in Gaza and brought back to Israel, eventually ending up here at the Outdoor Car Museum in Tecuma. I wasn't initially planning on vlogging here, but it feels like a responsibility to do so because this really does feel like a second Yad Vashem here in Israel. Seeing all of these cars on this car burial site. All right, heading to another place right now that is also connected to October 7th. I'm on Kibbutz Alumim, and I'm with Malcolm Weiner. He is a resident here of 52 years, and we're standing by the gate. Can you explain to me what happened at this gate on October 7th?
This is the back gate of the kibbutz. If you go straight down this road, you'll get to Gaza. There were two groups of Arabs that came along this road in order to get into the kibbutz. One at 7 and one at 9. This pedestrian gate, they were able to break the lock of that gate. They came in with their bikes. This group, their idea was to go into the kibbutz and destroy as much as possible of the residential area of the kibbutz, including our armory. On each side of this road, there were barns with animal fodder. They burnt these barns down, and the next station was they went through the door here into our milking parlour and destroyed the milking parlour. And then they go right here, and then they came out of there, and this building, this yellow building, that's where our Thailandi and Nepali were living, and then they killed them off in there. They killed 20 of them, 12 Thailandi and 8 Nepali, and they also, of all our Thailandi and Nepali, they took 2 into captivity.
Malcolm says the Thailandi worker kidnapped from Kibbutz Alumim has since been released.
The Nepali guy, Bipin Joshi, is still in Gaza. You notice this, they've left this wall here. You have to go slightly further, you can see the black wall.
This is what they burned.
Yes, this whole building was burnt. Okay, let's go. You've got more time, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll show you another place as well. One of the things that is very difficult for me to talk about is the thought of what would have happened if the Mechina had been here for that Shabbat. And I dread to think what would have happened to them, because they live in the next building along that the terrorists would have come to. Now the terrorists went past this building and went into this park here on our left. This park is called Gan Hadar, the name of Hadar Golding. And here they met up with another group of terrorists that came through a hole in the gate, in the fence that they made for themselves, with the intentions of carrying on into our residential area. But they're the Giborim, our heroes, were our civil defense force that stopped them. Actually, a human fence they made to prevent them from getting into the kibbutz.
Right here.
Over there where that car is. They made a hole in the gate. If you just carry on.
Sure.
Oh, shut up. They made a hole in the gate just over there. In the fence just over there. Opposite here. Out of these civil defense groups, 3 were injured. 2 lightly, 1 was injured seriously. A guy called Eyal Jung. Eyal Jung was seriously injured. In fact, by the time they got into the hospital, they told us that he got there at the last minute. If there had been any later, he'd got so much blood that he would have been finished. But and the miracle about Eyal Jung is that he had a bullet in his lung. Baruch Hashem, he's a blood tokea. And the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, he blew our shofar, and he was excellent.
Malcolm, does the kibbutz have, I've heard of survivor's guilt, like being depressed for the others who were so badly hurt?
I sometimes feel that, especially when I'm talking about it. That's why I can't do more than 2 groups in one day. And the second group is very, very difficult for me.
Everywhere in Israel, there are reminders of why we are still at war, of the hostages still being held in Gaza for more than a year now, and there are yellow flags, a sign of longing for the captives, any one of whom could have been any of us had the circumstances allowed. This is Kibbutz Nachal Oz. 7 hostages were stolen from here. More than 60 Israeli soldiers and 15 civilians were killed here on October 7th, including the heroic lookout soldiers, women who reported of suspicious activity in Gaza to their commanders and warned that an attack was imminent. I felt a wave of nostalgia driving this road, having briefly lived on this kibbutz 30 years ago, and a deep pang of sadness. I remember a time walking barefoot from my little one-room house to eat pomegranates off the trees. It was paradise here. But the Muslim call to prayer that we heard in the quiet of the night was also a reminder of how close we were to the Gaza border and the unspoken danger of what that meant. though the ideological, peace-minded kibbutznikim who lived here dreamed of coexistence with the neighbors who lived a stone's throw away from the other side of their fence. Kibbutz Nachal Oz is located next to the Nachal Oz Gaza border army base. This was where Yossi Hoffman and a group of volunteers met on this particular day to throw a barbecue for the soldiers here.
I just wanted to point out the sun is setting. It's my favorite time of day. This will be Hoffman's 251st barbecue for soldiers.
And Yossi Hoffman says giving back by throwing barbecues for Israeli soldiers on the Gaza border is his therapy.
I feel better that I give the soldiers my heart good food.
And people are drawn to him through word of mouth.
I actually heard about this like a few months ago and really wanted to come. There isn't somebody who would have a better accounting, a better story of what happened than somebody like a Zaka volunteer.
A door is really open now because of all the emotions and stuff that's going on, and it's a time to really connect, to tap into what's meaningful for us, our values, our goals, like just our life, what we're doing here. And it boosts morale a lot, and it really just creates a connectivity between people.
This is his way of processing things. Some people it could be, they just go for a run. Some people it could be they go to the gym. For Yossi, it's helping other people.
So I feel great because like a half an hour from now, a lot of soldiers going to eat good food.
And they're all in Miluim. Most of these people, they have families at home.
You have to see their faces for yourself. It's just amazing to see in the flesh, living, breathing people like you and I, who they are literally in an active war zone for us. Because Eretz Israel exists not just for the people who live here, but for any Jew to come.
There's so many misconceptions about October 7th that his voice really just needs to be amplified.
Yossi says he helps the soldiers because they are fighting for Israel's survival on a multi-front war.
We owe them a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid. And I really hope the rest of the world wakes up and realizes the IDF isn't only fighting for Israel, they're fighting for everybody. Everybody.